The Defense Intelligence Agency is set to release an AI strategy to sharpen the country's technological edge over its adversaries. Doug Cossa is the agency's Chief Information Officer. Doug, welcome to the program.
Thank you for having me.
So before we talk about the strategy, how does the U.S. stack up against China in the national security space?
Well, we've seen this throughout history, especially with the advent of the internet, where really it became a race for technology, and this has been going on for decades. And we now find ourselves in the same situation now, not only in terms of intelligence, but in terms of technology and the networks that we run. And what makes DIA unique in the intelligence community and across the Department of Defense is we are a service provider in many different functions, one being foundational military intelligence. So we provide intelligence on everything around the world, to include facilities, to include people, to include intent. And as part of that, we found ourselves in a huge plethora of data that we now have to make sense out of. And one of the initiatives that we have underway is called Mars, and that is our repository for sharing that foundational intelligence across the government. And AI is extremely important for us in that, especially with machine learning, as we have more and more data coming in from around the world as the world becomes more interconnected, which we've seen with COVID, which we've seen with the Russia-Ukraine crisis. And part of our AI strategy is making sense of that data and establishing the infrastructure to actually enable that, to get it to our intelligence analysts.
So let's talk about the strategy itself. Give us an overview of the elements that are in that strategy.
Sure. Well, one is, of course, again, goes back to making sense of data. And this is creating the right data standards to actually bring that data in, make sense of it, and then share it across the government and with our foreign partners. Another key piece of that is making sure that it's machine readable. More and more, we're now shifting from those inherent functions that have been traditionally done by humans to being done by machines behind the scenes. And that includes data that we get to our targeting systems to be able to make decisions for conflict and the U.S. government's role in that conflict. So the key of the AI strategy is not only making sure the data is interoperable, but the actual machines reading that data is interoperable.
There's also a talent management. And that's a huge issue.
It is.
Recruiting, training, what are you doing about that?
So just like across the federal government and industry, there is a need for talent. And the competition is becoming fierce, of course, not only within the government, but across the entire IT spectrum. Within DIA, workforce experience is one of my main priorities as a CIO. And that's not only bringing in new talent, it's recruiting the talent that we have and keeping them in place. I always joke that we celebrate people leaving a lot when they take a new job, and I want to move that to the left of actually celebrating people staying. But on top of that, I have a number of new initiatives. One is in 508 of the Rehabilitation Act for supporting employees with disabilities. So it's creating technologies for those that are deaf or hard of hearing or have vision impairments to actually provide them with the technologies to make their work environment more effective. Another piece of that is neurodiverse. You've seen this probably across a lot of the IT industry, and I'm proud to say that in the next couple weeks, we're actually bringing on our first 2 newer neurodiverse hires within the agency. And when I say neurodiverse, these are things like autism, of making sure we can provide the right accommodations for those staff and make them effective in the workplace, not only within DIA, but across the intelligence community.
Let's talk about Jaywicks. This is the Joint Worldwide Intelligence Communication System. It's the government's network for sharing and viewing top secret intelligence. You announced a modernization plan about a year ago. How's that going? Where are you right now?
Yeah. So Jaywicks is essentially the internet superhighway for top secret information across the government. And so it's that highway that connects all of the agencies together. And when I spoke about AI and information sharing and data sharing, Jaywicks is what enables that. It also enables access to the new cloud services that we're looking to take advantage of across the community. But part of that is the refresh of that technology, that underlying foundation that connects all of the sites across the IC and DoD on the top secret fabric all over the world.
And this was created in the 90s.
It was.
It's due
Yes,
for a modernization.
It is. So we've passed our 30-year anniversary, so the focus is on that tech refresh, but it's also on the cybersecurity. We're in a different realm now. To where our cyber threats have changed, and a lot of this is focusing on that zero trust environment. So it's knowing everything and everyone on our networks. So that's not only replacing the hardware, it's also putting the right software and technologies in place to have us with the ability to monitor that at any time, 24/7, every second of the day.
And you mentioned the cloud. The DoD is moving towards cloud computing. How does that improve collaboration within the larger intelligence community?
Well, it's twofold. One, many of our business systems within the intelligence community, so think things like HR systems or financial systems, have moved to cloud services. As we become more integrated as an IC, making sure that those systems interconnect has become more critical than ever. And now, as we move a lot of those into cloud services, that's where our focus has been. And now we're extending that also with the Department of Defense. And so it goes beyond just those business systems, but also our mission systems of moving those into the cloud to create that interoperability. Where we provide a unique role in DIA is through Jaywicks on the top secret fabric. We're connecting all of those clouds together. And so now this transitions from a partnership with industry to identify where those cloud access points need to be.
There was an announcement recently about the ability to share top secret information with foreign intelligence authorities. Tell me about that. What are the unique challenges surrounding that capability?
So with DIA, we are designated by the Director of National Intelligence as a service provider for our Five Eye partners. So that's UK, Canada, New Zealand, and the United States. On top of that, Five Eye, we also provide international systems with other partners beyond just those Five Eye sets. And with that, traditionally over the past few years, especially when we first started Jaywicks 30 years ago, that need didn't exist like it has been with the Russia-Ukraine crisis or with COVID. Everything was developed as a US-only repository. Now, as the world has become more interconnected, we're revamping our approach and developing systems with that international connectivity in mind.
All right, well, Doug, nice to talk to you. Thanks so much for joining us.
Thank you. Glad to be here.
Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed the video, give it a thumbs up and subscribe to our channel so you don't miss out on any future Government Matters interviews.